Hello and welcome to another episode of Canadian History X. Today we're going to be talking about an iconic part of our history, something that we all know about because we often have a picture of it in our pockets. I'm talking about the very thing that's on this dime, the Bluenose. The Bluenose, or the Queen of the North, is a piece of our history and it has become iconic thanks to its legendary ability on the water. Built in 1921, it would become one of the greatest racing ships in the world and an important symbol of Canada for the next 20 years. Taking its name from the term used to describe Nova Scotians in the 18th century, it was designed to both fish and race. The purpose was to compete with American schooners, and the ship was made with Nova Scotia pine, spruce, birch, and oak. But the masts were created with Oregon pine. Victor Cavendish, Governor-General of Canada, would drive the golden spike that would mark the completion of the ship's construction. Officially launched on March 26, 1921, it was christened by Audrey Smith, who was the daughter of shipbuilder Richard Smith. Performing her first sea trials out of Lunenburg in April, the ship began fishing for the first time on April 15th. When the fishing season ended, the Bluenose began racing, and what a racer it was. She would take part in the 1921 International Fisherman's Trophy race off of Halifax in early October. She defeated the American challenger, the Henry S. Ford, and captured the trophy. In 1923, Bluenose would take on Columbia, a ship that had been designed to defeat Bluenose. Held in Halifax, new rules were put in place that prevented ships from passing marker buoys to landward. While Bluenose won the first race, the ship broke the new rule in the second race and lost. After a great deal of debate and protest, it was decided that the vessels would tie and share the prize. The race would actually be gone for the next 8 years due to anger over these events. For the next several years, several Canadian and American businessmen would design and build their own ships to beat Bluenose, but Bluenose would continue to defeat them, often winning very easily against its opponent, losing only once in 1930. By the 1930s, Bluenose had stopped fishing as its style had become obsolete due to motor schooners and trawlers. At this point, the ship would spend much of its time being an ambassador for Canada. In 1933, it was invited to the World's Fair in Chicago. 2 years later, it sailed to Plymouth to be part of the Silver Jubilee of King George V. In 1936, it returned to fishing thanks to the installation of diesel engines. In 1937, Bluenose was challenged to a race by the American schooner Gertrude L. Thabod, which was the one that beat it in 1930. The race would consist of a best-of-5 series of races for the International Fisherman's Trophy. The race would start on October 9, 1938, with the ships splitting the first 2 races. Bluenose then won the third race by a larger margin than the second race. She would lose the fourth race, and with the fifth and deciding race, Bluenose would win. And the race would be the last of the fishing schooners of the North Atlantic.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will endeavor to describe the feeling on this ship.
The American ship is just trailing the Bluenose.
Angus should never have agreed to this last race. She's too old.
Eddie!
Coming back! The topsail halyard back! Get to it, Matt!
Appears there's some kind of difficulty.
There seems to be something loose up there, I believe.
The topsail's foul!
Here's the not inside ship crashed into it. I can't see a man.
Just once more, old girl, and you can rest.
She's holding her lead.
Her last race and still undefeated, the Bluenose out of Lunenburg, Nova Scotia was fastest in the world for almost 20 years.
With the outbreak of the Second World War, the vessel was sold to the West Indies Trading Company in 1942 and was stripped of its masts and rigging. Made a coastal freighter in the Caribbean Sea, she would meet her end on January 28, 1946, when she struck a reef and broke apart. While the vessel is gone, she still lives on in the 1963 replica called Bluenose II that was built to similar specifications of the original Bluenose and is used to teach children and students about the sea and to serve as an ambassador for Nova Scotia. The Bluenose had been featured on several stamps, including the 50-cent issue from 1929, the 60-cent stamp from 1982, and the 37-cent stamp from 1988. Bluenose also appears on the Nova Scotia license plate, and in 1937 it was put on the Canadian dime. Angus Walters, captain of the Bluenose, was included in the Canadian Sports Hall of Fame in 1955 along with Bluenose. Bluenose was the first non-human inductee to the museum.